today. Talking about Ja Morant.
The high flyers.
The gun toting. The gun slinging.
You know, that's young boy cousin. You know what I'm saying? You know, one of the first questions that I want to get into, you know, speaking of young boy.
Speaking of young boy.
Do you guys believe that one of the issues with nowadays basketball, nowadays sports in general, they're intermingling a little, I don't want to say too much, but almost a little too much, where it's starting to translate over into the game. Would you guys agree with that?
Do you mean where some athletes
are trying to be more like rappers?
They think they are. They try and live that lifestyle.
Are trying to be more like
for sure.
athletes.
Yeah, I agree.
Who was it that said that? Ball players want to be rappers and rappers want to be ball players.
There it is.
I have heard that before.
There it is. That is a factual statement. You know, you see it all the time. You see these.
Almost good.
Ja Morant did not come from that type of lifestyle. He has no reason to live that type of lifestyle. Not where he's at. Not where he could have been headed. You know, but here we are. We have to have the discussion of whether he should be suspended for a whole year, whether he should be suspended for half a year, 25 games, as Stephen A. Smith said.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said that he thinks that if he should be suspended, 25 games should be the max. Is what he said. Which, I mean,
I didn't see that. I have seen him say that he wouldn't be surprised if they brought the hammer down on him and gave him a whole. I mean, but it's because Adam Silver, he gave him a chance. He did it once, right? Gave him a chance.
Dog, doing it twice in the
within
same,
that's
the
what
same
I'm saying.
season is crazy. The same time frame. Like, come on, dog. You just got off the hook.
He just signed. It's like a $200. He has like a $250 million extension that kicks in next year. He has his shoe deal with Nike that he just signed. He replaced Kyrie Irving, and he just, I think it was like a couple days prior to the first incident being publicized, he launched an advertising campaign with Powerade, and apparently it was the first time Powerade had an athlete, an NBA athlete, in their campaigns for like 10, 15 years because of similar situations like this drama.
Right. Do you think that this will affect his shoe deal in any way?
It should. If it affected
I mean,
Kyrie's, it should
that's
affect
what I
his.
mean. You know, Kyrie was simply making statements.
I think what he did is much worse because there's a young, youth population looking up to these kids, watching these kids.
And this is what people don't understand is that when Ja Morant started hitting the gritty, everybody was watching. Mm-hmm. Kids started hitting the gritty through the hallways in school. It started getting so annoying. Kids are hitting the gritty at school dances. It's
He's like the juju of the NBA.
Exactly. And he has so much influence. So when you have kids that are 4 years old all the way up to 96 years old watching you, imitating your moves, imitating the things that you do, when you start flashing guns and you start acting like...
Here's something I just thought of. Parents won't let their kids listen to certain music because they say certain things that you don't want your kids hearing. You don't want them being influenced.
Right.
Do you really need to have to monitor like what NBA players you allow your kids to watch?
Exactly.
And it's Adam Silver gave him a pass, and then to turn around and basically smack him in the face. To be so stupid. What are you doing, bro?
Hot yellow loogie into his forehead.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
I don't really have an opinion as to like what kind of suspension he should get. He should get suspended. I'm not gonna say he should get suspended the whole year, but I wouldn't be mad if he did.
I say send him and Dylan Brooks all the way to Shanghai.
Dylan Brooks is gone. He's gone. He's terrible.
Send him to Shanghai.
I don't know.
Dwight.
I have a lot of controversial questions on this topic.
Go on ahead and ask him.
So, like, just thought-provoking questions.
Right.
Like, what is this? What does it say about the Second Amendment?
It's not about.
Hold on. Just let me rapid fire these. You guys can give your takes. I just am interested. because I don't care either way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What does this say about society that we tell children they should look up to Ja Morant? What qualifications does Ja Morant have for being a role model other than he's great at basketball?
Well, you guys get mad at everybody for looking up to Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
And that is fact. People hate having him as a role model, where he does not promote guns. I mean, unless he's talking about shooting up people who are coming into his home.
And then, to your point, isn't that your job as a parent, though, to make sure your kids are cultivating the right relationships in their life and making sure they're looking up to the right people? I mean, ultimately, it is their own decision and everything. We all make our own mistakes and stuff like that. But to a point, like, you know, you should probably, you know, there's a lot of athletes that, you know, don't care. We were all athletes. We all played team sports. We know what it's like to have guys in the locker room who probably couldn't play because they didn't have the grades.
Yeah.
You know? So when we have this discussion, it's something that interests me because, like, we let children look up to athletes. We let them, right? We push this stuff. There was a narrative. When he did this, they could have just not reported on it, right? I'm not saying that's
He
right
could
or
have just
wrong.
not recorded it too.
That's fine, but to the point of, like, you're an American. You love freedom. What does freedom entail? Freedom entails stupid people doing stupid things. And I'm sorry, this is the unrealistic, or this is the unfavorable realistic aspect to freedom, is when people are given the opportunity to do stupid things, some people will take the chance to do stupid things. And I think that this is an important time to tell your children who look up to Ja Morant, hey, this is what happens when you mess up. He has a good thing going. Maybe you don't want to be like Ja Morant. And, like, I'm not saying tell them not to look up to Ja Morant, but what I'm saying is you need to explain right and wrong to your kids, and you need to, and using examples like Ja Morant, when he's continuously making, like, he's showing habitual habits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not a one-off incident. We're at the second time now. And at the rate this is happening, we're probably looking at a third.
Probably, yeah. I mean, he'll probably,
So
if he keeps it up,
at
he'll
what
force
point
himself out
do
of the
we
league.
talk about, like, you can look up to Neil deGrasse Tyson, you can look up to all these other people, right? But we report on Elon, we report on Ja Morant. At what point as a society do we hold ourselves accountable on what we put out in front of everybody? If you feel like you have the journalistic integrity or requirement to report on Ja Morant, like, how much time are we giving all of the charitable stuff? Like, we don't spend, how much airtime do you think Ja Morant's mistake got?
Mm-hmm.
And versus how much any charity event that these guys hold gets. So don't tell me, like, oh, it's like this and he should be punished like this. I think as a society, we have it all backwards. I'm not saying he shouldn't be punished. I'm not saying he shouldn't be punished. What I'm saying is we are making mistakes. We're focusing on bad things. What do focusing on bad things cultivate? Other bad things. We could be focusing and pushing the guys who are doing things right.
Absolutely.
But they may not be the best player in the NBA at the time. Right?
So why would you want to talk about them?
Because they're doing good things.
But we don't care about these people for anything other than
So it's
them
almost
playing basketball.
So it's almost like
So you're giving
Denver,
them a free
it's,
pass.
It's
then.
almost like Denver Nuggets. You know, they're a great team, breaking history often,
Yeah.
but nobody reports on them. They report on the Lakers losing.
Yeah.
People don't say, "Oh, Denver beat the Lakers." People say, "Oh, the Lakers got swept."
Mm-hmm.
By who? By Denver. That's how the conversation goes. People
Well-
don't so that's where the perception is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, they're focused on the bad on the Ja Morant rather than the good.
I'm not saying don't report it, but I'm saying, like, is it something that we should, every talk show, like, I guarantee you when it happened, if you turned on any sports talk show.
It's all everyone talked about for days. Undisputed included.
And do you think any player in any league across any sport was doing something good in society at that moment? And did we give it any airtime? Did we interrupt the Ja Morant radio special that was his gun incident?
See, but that's just the way things are. When you mess up, it gets publicized way more than bad stuff gets publicized way more than the good stuff. And if you're in a position of power and wealth, and say Ja Morant's contributed millions of dollars to charities, that's great. That doesn't get publicized, just the way it is. Life isn't fair, you know? But to go and do it twice, and then to go back to your point on the Second Amendment, no one is calling for him to go to jail. No one is saying he broke any laws. As an employer, if I'm the NBA and my employee is seen waving a gun around, representing my brand as I'm paying him over $200 million a year, and I basically give him a slap on the wrist, and then we sit down, have a face-to-face, and you go right back and do it again, I'm firing you. If I'm...
Can I take this one?
Sure, go ahead.
Is this the first time the NBA's ever had gun incidents?
I doubt it, no.
So why are we still at a slap on the wrist? Like, didn't Gilbert Arenas do something back way long ago? So my question is, are you really trying to curtail this behavior at all? Once again, I'm going back to the fact that you're letting them get away. You said, we don't want to report on this guy because he's not good enough. Why is he not good enough? Because you're letting Ja Morant into the league, okay? You start taking out all the top talent that doesn't act right, I guarantee you all of a sudden Brian Scalabrine is going to rise on that depth chart, okay? So, like, you're paying him hundreds of millions of dollars. If you really don't think he's that good for the brand and he's continuously doing this, you would get rid of him. You would get rid of him.
And they are going to get rid of him for most likely an entire season.
What does that set?
Well, yeah.
How much is he going to make when he's going to come back?
How much is he going to lose? I mean, he's a millionaire either way. So you're saying
but if they fired him right now, right, which they could probably
I understand they're not going to fire them. But.
No. I'm talking about get rid of him. Put him out of the NBA. You say you want to make an example, right? You said you want to make an example of him. You said Stephen A. thought that they might do that. Mm-hmm. You want to quelch this forever? You want to make sure you don't have gun problems in the league?
Send him to Shanghai.
Send him to Shanghai.
Well, the thing is, it's also a business, and they're not going to get rid of one of their top athletes because he fucked up forever.
So once again, it comes back to the bottom line, and you're going to give them a pass. End of discussion. End of discussion. So let's not talk about these guys doing bad things because we actually don't want to curtail it. We would call for him to leave the NBA. When somebody messes up as like a CEO, as a president, as a senator, we call for their resignation. Have we asked Ja Morant to leave the league because he's negatively impacting our children?
I don't want that either. No.
Then how concerned are we about the children? You want to see Ja Morant play.
I do not want to continue to see Ja Morant doing things like this. But I watch basketball for literally for the game itself, right? I don't care, but just
then it doesn't matter if Ja Morant's out there.
It doesn't matter to me. It matters to the kids. Seeing Ja Morant wave around a gun at a strip club twice. He was, I think it was the Pacers. Him and his boys with lasers on their guns, pointing them at like the Pacers security crew and the staff as they're walking.
So
out.
we're at a third time now.
Yeah.
So we're at a third time. Back to my point. We are doing nothing to curtail this. How concerned are we? Don't preach to me about being concerned about the children, but you want to see Ja Morant hoop. There are other good players in the league. If Ja Morant's not there, somebody's going to fill that spot.
It's not about the game itself because social media is taking over, and I'm not big into it. But we know kids.
This is reality. Don't preach to me about morals when we have reality to deal with. Reality is not morality.
I don't see the point you're trying to make. Are you trying to say that he should get a pass, or are you trying to say that they should suspend him?
I'm saying pick one.
Yeah, that's
pick one.
I did pick one.
No, but it's pick one and stick with it.
No, see, the thing is,
it's not a
How are you going to stop this gun thing when Gilbert Arenas did it, 20 years ago?
It's either a no-game suspension or it's a lifetime suspension.
Lifetime is harsh. I mean, I don't think the punishment fits the crime. I don't think that the punishment doesn't fit the crime there.
Then it's going to continue to happen.
Not necessarily. You do it for a whole year. He misses an entire year of a season, loses that paycheck. Not only that, his reputation with fans, the brand that is the NBA and also the Memphis Grizzlies. You can't tell me that won't have a negative impact. That people will talk about that for the rest of his career. And maybe he can sit back and learn from his mistakes.
When we talk about Gilbert Arenas, do we talk about his gun suspension or do we talking about hibachi? We don't talk about his gun suspension. We talk about how much he got paid. We talk about how good he was. We talk about how much we liked playing with him on the Xbox. We don't talk about his gun suspension. When we talk about Josh Gordon, do you think I care about his weed suspension? No, he was a terrific wide receiver.
See, no, those are not comparable. Gilbert Arenas, I think, was able to overcome it. Josh Gordon is not playing anymore because of that. So if Ja Morant continues to do this, he will not be playing, and it will be synonymous with his name.
Would a one-year suspension be... do you think that would be enough?
Yeah.
Do you think that would curtail the behavior? That would set, like, hey, don't do this because this will happen.
I think that would be his last opportunity. Like,
so if we're
coming down hard, but
right?
You're still going to get to come back. But if he does it again,
and you think that'll stop other players, right?
Yes.
Look at the camera and tell them what that says.
Gilbert Arenas 1-year suspension. The right move.
13 years ago.
What about it?
We are 2023 having the same discussion. If 1-year suspensions did it, it would have worked back in 2010.
Wait, so you're making an example of this 13-year time gap and you're trying to tell me it didn't work?
Did it work?
Did it not? I mean, 13 years and we're just now...
But are you going to act like in that 13 years that's the only issue that's happened with the league, within the league, is that his gun charge and his gun charge are the only issues that have arose within the league?
So you're telling me if you were a player and you see a guy get a 2-week suspension for waving a gun, if you see a guy get a 2-week suspension for waving a gun, you're not going to think anything of it. If you see a guy get an entire year, and there's only a handful of stars that are making the big money. So say you're a 6-man.
Raymond Felton arrested on gun charges.
You don't think you're going to think about it twice? If you know that the league is handing out year suspensions with no pay?
At a young age, it is
hold on.
difficult to allow. It's easy to let the money get to your head.
Hold on.
When you're getting a lot of bread.
Speaking of that, who else is fighting a gun charge? That's
exactly what I was about
to bring up. Who else is fighting a gun charge? Mikey Williams. You want to talk about how poor of an example and how much you need to actually put your foot down? It's affected high school stars. They're getting arrested with guns now.
And
Mikey Williams doesn't live in a dangerous neighborhood.
Who do you think contributes to behavior like that? Ja Morant.
And you want a 1-year suspension to let him back in. Suspend him for 3 years. Why won't you?
If you're going to send
Why
a message,
won't you?
Send a message.
Why isn't 1 year a message?
Because we just pulled up the
Gilbert Arenas.
Did he do it again?
But we have multiple arguments.
When did Gilbert Arenas leave the league?
If you look more into the athletes...
When's the last time you saw a big-name star get a year suspension?
I don't know.
How much
so you can't tell me what's that
cover
example
up?
For these guys? Because the big stars represent the league. They represent the brand.
Absolutely.
That's a terrible image to have.
He got suspended, and then his next year was his last year. The year he played like 9 games. He left the league. He was cashed out as a millionaire. Do you remember how much he got paid?
I mean, Ja Morant's already probably made more than Gilbert Arenas just because he plays in a different era where they make more money. And he's got a Nike studio where I'm sure he weighed.
No wonder Ja Morant's not concerned about his suspension because he's going to be a millionaire.
I don't think he's not concerned. I don't even think he thinks about it. I don't think he knows
nothing's going to happen to him. Because my point is the 1-year suspension will happen, and then what? Then what? How many chances are you going to give him? He's on his 3rd chance now? Mm-hmm. He's on his 3rd chance? How concerned are you? Your girl cheats on you 3 times. You forgive her. Are we going back for a 4th?
I hope not.
Then why are you going back for a 4th with Ja Morant? He has shown a track record of not being a good role model, and you want to continue to give him how much a year?
I don't know a year, but I'm pretty sure it's north of $200 million over.
Just know, giving
however
somebody
long.
a second chance is just like giving them another bullet to shoot you with after they missed the first time. That's just what.
So I guess where do you if you guys were the NBA, I would vote for an entire year suspension. Where do you guys
I
want?
would send his ass to Shanghai.
Really, for good?
I would send his ass right along with Dylan
So
Brooks.
hold
They'll
on,
be
like,
right here doing
think
this.
about.
They'll be right here doing this in Shanghai with the.
Think about this though. Say you run the NBA and Ja Morant, Ja Morant sells tickets, makes you hundreds of millions of dollars a
He's
year.
not the only guy that sells tickets, though.
No, but he contributes, and it's gonna hurt the amount.
Memphis
you reckon
Grizzlies
are
have been dog shit for a very long time, right?
exactly.
So what's
You
a
think
few
you
more
think
years?
crowds are selling out without Ja Morant in Memphis?
No,
Exactly.
but they can find other talent, and they will, just like
Really?
they have.
When was the last time the Grizzlies had someone good?
You know
Zebo's nowhere
there's-
near Ja Morant.
there's
OJ
a
Mayo,
lot- well,
Marc
we weren't.
Gasol.
We were not. Mike Conley was a great point guard,
Baller.
but we weren't. But who was talking about him?
Exactly.
Nobody.
Exactly. He doesn't.
As
he
you were
didn't-
just talking about earlier.
Yeah, he doesn't sell tickets. Like Ja Morant is unreal on the court.
So what you're saying is because he sells tickets,
If
you
you're looking
want
at it
him on
from a
the court.
business perspective, you want to set this guy straight, but you don't want to lose him forever and lose all that profitability that he brings.
Last episode,
Then
you
don't
were not
say-
on a business level mindset when it came to things like this.
Oh, yes, I was.
No.
In business, I would say keep it professional. Dissing your co-host online, that's not professional.
Staying away from a drowning man is professional.
Yeah, that's the. Skip Bayless has always been a drowning man, but yet he gets views.
But
You know,
regardless,
Skip Bayless.
and here
Skip
we
Bayless
are.
brings it in.
Here we are. I'm trying to get away from a drowning man in Ja Morant, and you want to keep him on board so that he can bring another gun on.
Basically. Just so you can
So
suspend him.
so
again
I've said what
you
I
can
would do.
suspend him for a year and a half.
You guys are the owners of the Memphis Grizzlies. You're cool with selling out half the arena instead of selling out the entire arena. That's fine. So you guys would say get Ja Morant out of the league forever.
If I'm gonna make a decision,
Uh-huh.
and I need to know that in the future it's gonna benefit the league rather than affect the league in another negative way, I'm gonna go with get him out of there.
It depends on how you're looking at it.
I'm looking
if I
big
me
picture.
personally,
I'm looking big picture, not next season, not the next 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I'm looking big when he's done with the NBA. What image did he leave on the NBA? Somebody who can tote guns, get a few suspensions, and then come back and everything's going to be fine. The next generation is going to come in with that same mindset that if I do my fuck-ups early on, then I just have to sit out for a little bit and I'll be back.
I'm with you. If it was my own business, right? If you do that shit, you're gone. You're fired. See you later. But just viewing it from, I mean, the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar company.
Money.
Exactly. I mean, from they're sharks. You got to look at it how they would look at it. Why would they want to get rid of that?
Okay, then can I point out the paradoxical argument of trying to assess this situation with morality while looking at it from a business standpoint? Because you can't talk about the kids and the role he has in the next generation. And then as he just pointed out, they're going to come in with this attitude. And it's going to create issues because, like, do you think this was an issue back in the 70s?
Because then the views are going to go down and down. They're going to continue to plummet just like they did.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, how do you think these guys are thinking?
But
They want to set an
when
example.
the NBA,
Then never bring up the children. Then
Why?
don't bring up the fact that he's a role model because if
you're hoping that this corrects that behavior. If you suspended him a year, that's the thought. But
hoping. That's it. You're hoping, but I know how to correct the behavior. Get him out of there. I know how to correct the behavior.
Look,
Show these young
he's
niggas
losing,
that you're not gonna stay.
He's losing what?
say it's $50 million,
Right, but he's gonna net 200
probably.
in the long run. Do you know what we call that? The cost of doing business, because you're once again promoting. Like, this is when people are like talking about, oh, I'm gonna boycott Chris Brown and stuff like that. Like, do you listen to him? Unless you can convince the people that are going, and like, you just can't tell me you're worried about the kids and then also like want to keep him in the league, because he's clearly shown
It's like
3 different times now. 3 different times. And now you can argue that point of
No,
like,
that's a valid point. It's a valid point.
he's maturing and all this stuff, and I accept that. But the unfortunate reality is, if you are concerned about the kids, right, which I need to ask you, what are your priorities? Is it raising better men and better children and better women and the leaders of tomorrow? Or is it watching good basketball? Because once again, I think society has it backwards, and then it's all of a sudden it's, this is horrible. No, you don't get it both ways. Like, either we're concerned about the kids and we need to do what's best for them, or we do what's best for basketball.
See, the thing is, if you're looking at it from like the owner's perspective,
I don't care about the owners because they care about money. Do you care about the kids or do you care about money?
that's the thing. They can't pick. They can't do.
They
like,
can't
that's
pick.
too far left or too far right.
They have picked. They picked money.
They can't
because
just,
I told
they
you.
can't just
I
not
told you.
suspend him because that promotes that type of behavior. They also can't just get rid of him because that loses them so much money. So they have to find common ground. They have to do something to please both sides.
Hold on. Can I ask you a question
Do they
real
not?
quick? So you're saying he shouldn't get a pass, right?
Correct.
Hold on. If who's like an eighth man on somebody's squad? Just give me a name.
D'Angelo Russell.
If D'Angelo Russell did this, what would happen to D'Angelo Russell?
Probably be gone. Because at some point,
Forever.
I don't think his talents. I don't think
Hold
his
on.
talents would.
No. The question is forever? Question mark.
No, it's not. It's not that black and white.
So
because what you're doing, the negative that he brings.
That's the pass.
Yeah, you have to contribute.
You told
something.
him you didn't want him to have a pass, though. But you said
he
should get a pass
that's what would happen.
because D'Angelo Russell isn't good enough. He can't have a pass.
It's not just about that. Teams wouldn't want. You don't bring enough to the table to counteract all the negative you bring.
Hey, that is logical, and I understand it. But then don't tell me about the kids.
Why?
Because you can't have it both ways.
I'm conveying reality. That. Like, sure, in a perfect world, get them gone. In reality, it's not how it's going to work. And you can balance it, and they have to. They have to try.
No. You know what you do? You
make a decision and you run with it.
I think it was Machiavelli, wasn't it? He said
yes.
when you go to set an example, you go over the top. Because if you want to curtail behavior, you make sure nobody wants to do it. You make sure it's so bad that they don't do it again. How do you set that example?
Like the right thing to do would probably be to get them gone. That's just not what's going to happen. That's all I'm trying to say. It's just not going to happen.
Let's not talk about doing the right thing at all. Let's not talk about him doing the right thing. Let's not talk about doing the right thing, because what you're doing right now is setting the example that if your talent is good enough,
that's the reality.
You will get a pass. Cool. Then you're not building the place you want to see, because you're talking about in a perfect world, this is the way it would be. Yes. How do we achieve a better society if we don't hold people to better standards? If not now, when? If not here, where?
I'll say this. If Michael Vick was some scrub backup quarterback and did what he did, he would have never seen the light of day. Michael Vick did what he did change, came back, balled out, but only because his talents, balanced out the negativity.
Prison.
You have an opportunity when you make a mistake to change, absolutely. And we've given this nigga that opportunity multiple times. When he was caught in the strip club with the gun for no reason,
Hold on.
You gave him a chance, and then he's pointing the gun at
Where was he?
He's at the strip club eating chicken wings.
Who are his followers again?
Kids, Christian kids that do the gritty, football players that hit the gritty.
So he's at a what we would consider to be a place that you wouldn't show children. But he went on live,
yeah, he did,
where children would get on his live to also display that he
makes continuous. I don't want to defend him at all.
Time the fuck out. We're forgetting that he's already fighting a case for fighting a kid while playing basketball.
That's four. No, I don't like.
So what the fuck are we talking about now?
Jacob's now. Like, yo, look, if you get a felony, like it's fine. Just make sure when you come back, you win DPOY. Okay.
Yeah.
Based off your logic, you're saying that if it was up to you, you don't think Michael Vick should have ever came back in the league.
No.
Yes, it is. How is it not?
No.
You get the opportunity to change and critique your behavior after we've given you that space to do it, then absolutely, by all means. But we have now presented 4 different situations where Ja Morant has had the opportunity to change, and we are sitting here having
Ja Morant
this
didn't commit a crime.
What?
Ja Morant didn't go to prison.
He beat up a kid.
Why is he on trial then?
He beat up a kid.
Do people who don't commit crimes get on trial?
Oh, yikes.
Hey, come on now.
Yikes. He was talking about children earlier. Remember that. Protect the kids. He's fighting a kid, and you want to... He's not guilty until...
Here's the thing.
I don't like Ja Morant. I would get him gone, but this is not what's going to happen.
No, here's the thing. You told me that, like, by my logic, Mike Vick should have been out of the league. No. By my logic, pick a lane, okay? Mike Vick messed up seriously and was punished very severely. He didn't know if he got out that he was going to come back to the league and be able to do what he did. You can sit out a month and the league will pass you by. You can get the yips. All sorts of things can happen. So you're comparing this, like, continued, same repeated behavior, patterns of bad decision making, and you're telling me that he should be given another chance. And I'm all for giving chances. But here's the thing. You can't say we need to preach morality in doing the right thing, and then when people continuously do the wrong thing, just keep moving the line. Like, oh, it's fine.
That's all.
It's fine. No, it's okay. It's all right. Because, like, at what point are you setting an example? If your point is to set an example, set an example. But don't worry about your bottom line, because then you're not trying to set an example. What you're doing is trying to protect your profit. You're not doing you in life, you make decisions, okay? You can try and balance, but what do I always say about compromise? Compromises leave everybody unhappy. Everybody is unhappy right now because we're trying to fucking compromise. You're talking about we need to protect the industry, and we need to worry about the kids at the same time. Yeah, and is anybody happy with this situation we have? No, because it's a clusterfuck. Because nobody is willing to step up and say, screw profitability.
And I'm not denying that is not the right thing to do. Once again,
No. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm saying pick one. Either just say we care more about profit than we do about how our players act and everything.
So you're saying, I'm with you. You think there's a deeper problem than just Ja Morant?
I have been said that. I have said throughout this entire video
I know, but like
that, like,
do you think the problem lies with the NBA execs and the Adam Silver, the commissioner? You think that's the real problem there because they don't set the proper example? Yeah, no, I'm with that. I was just trying to say the sides, how they would be.
What do you do? What do you do to curtail bad behavior?
Punish.
Do you try to lighten it? Because, like, after a certain point,
maybe the first time. No, but I'm with you. Like,
so we're time 4. We're headed to 5. What does 5 look like? Does 5 look like a year suspension?
Who knows?
You're gonna give him $200 million? Like, let's be clear. Like, you're like, oh, you're gonna have more money than you've ever had in your life, and more than most people are ever going to see. Is that punishment? Answer it right now. Is taking $50 million from somebody who has $250 million punishment? Then you are not punishing him. That's my point. We're pulling our punches, and then we're like, well, I don't understand why this punishment's not effective.
Yeah. The thing is, people tend to pick and choose who and when should they be punished. Like, for instance, I just asked earlier, should Ja Morant lose his shoe deal because of this situation, just like Kyrie lost his shoe deal because of his situation?
In my opinion, what Ja did was way worse than Kyrie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, so I'm with you. I think I agree, like, morally with you guys.
Absolutely.
It's really
it's just the money side of it.
Yeah.
It's the
No,
entire
but I'm saying like we need to like if you're a Grizzlies fan and you're sitting here talking about how poor of an example he is, but you're not calling for him to leave the NBA, my point is you're not solving the problem.
That's a good point.
You don't give a shit. Don't tell me you do, because you're not doing anything about it. If all I do is mention problems and I don't bring up solution, nobody's ever going to do anything about it. So at what point do we hold him accountable for his actions?
Let us know.